to interest on debt, not to services. And Bloomberg and others announcing what's already happened in Greece. We want all or part of your pension funds. That isn't just the government coming and taking your pension funds. That is private corporations just shutting down and leaving, or creating a subsidiary, then destroying the old company and taking your pension fund. I mean, so many scams. They've now set up a FEMA, over 40% plus of the U.S. National property tax on 40% of the property in the country. They call flood insurance. I mean, it's all happening now. We're going to talk about it in a moment. Before we do that, a few of the sponsors that have made today's radio show possible. One of them is a Cola Blue. Did you know that you could be drinking fresh, clean water made right out of the air you breathe? Now, this isn't something out of a science fiction book. Our sponsor, Cola Blue, their Cola Blue 28 and a Cola Blue 30 machines will allow you to do just that. It's easy to use and will make up to 7.5 gallons of water per day. The water, once generated, passes through 7 or 12, depending on the unit you get, stage filtration process and reverse osmosis, carbon filtration, ensuring that you know exactly what you're drinking. No chemicals, pollutants, or fluoride that we spend so much time talking about on air. Your unlimited clean water out of the air. You can't get better. EcoloBlue.com, 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 or 800-691-6043, 800-691-6043. And again, everything we promote here is about waking people up, but also becoming self-sufficient, because what is already happening and what's coming down, you will need to be as self-sufficient as you can be. And water and food and energy are so important. And one of those is MySolarBackup.com. We've been promoting this for now almost 3 years. I get nothing but rave reviews. It's a plug-and-play solar generator from Solutions from Science. These portable power systems need no installation and supply household current wherever and whenever you need it, producing electricity directly from the sun. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly and emits no fumes. It's like having your own electrical power plant, and it's perfect for your home or campsite. Whether it's hurricanes, ice storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. So check them out online at MySolarBackup.com or call for a free information package at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. MySolarBackup.com. Okay, George, you got cut off by the break, and I want to go through the info that you wanted to talk about, the facts of the economy. But before we run out of time, first, do you agree with Keiser's analysis on the financial terrorism last week? And what's your take on what's happening with, first it's $150 billion, then it's $600 billion, then it's a trillion today. Now they're saying more than $1 trillion, and they won't even say where the money's going.
Yeah, first of all, Max Keiser is amazing, and I really enjoyed and learned listening from him. And it was really funny because I brought into the show a bunch of information that said that the bailout was $147 billion, and on the way here I hear that's $1 trillion for Europe. Now, the first thing that has to be understood is that this is not a bailout for Greece. Let me repeat this. This is not a bailout for Greece. This is a bailout for the banks of that region. It has... The only people getting the shaft on this are the Greek people, and then it's going to be the Italian people, and then the Spanish people, and all the people of Europe. A $1 trillion bailout right now. And the thing that must be remembered is that in the last week they keep talking about that the German and the French banks are the ones that are going to take this heaviest. Well, it's my understanding that the IMF is good for about 27 to 35% of this $1 trillion. And guess who pays most of the IMF? The people of the United States. This so-called bailout is being paid for by you and by me and by your families. This is just absolutely insane. And that is why shows like this are so absolutely important, because getting this information out has to be done. This is absolute criminal behavior. And as I have said over and over and over again, no matter how much the bailouts, no matter how many zeros you add, you can't bail it out. You can't fix something that's already dead. With fractional reserve banking, it is a dead system from the first day. And right now, the economies of Greece and Spain and Germany do not represent the real productivity or unproductivity of the country.
And it's a black hole. The bankers bragged over time to get you in debt, grow the size of the state, and then it all implodes into the black hole.
Absolutely. And then also, of course, the size of government, and I've been yelling about this forever. The total debt of Greece is 118% of the gross national product. The total debt of Italy is 122%. The average debt in the Western European Union is about 80% of the gross domestic products. Now, that's not including their corporate debts. That's not including their private debts. That's not including some of the derivatives. Folks, their situation, it's gone, it's over, and it's done. And this does not even include the nations of Eastern Europe, countries like Romania and Ukraine, where you just start adding zeros and you just keep your finger on the plug. It's over and done. It won't work. They can shine it up as much as they want, but the reality is because they are using the same sort of economy, fiat currency, fractional reserve banking, both systems, the U.S. dollar and the euro, are headed for disaster.
Now, I want you to go over that, but I want to direct all radio listeners to go to prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. But Kurt Nimmo, Paul Watson, and Steve Watson are on fire. I called them all this morning. I asked them to cover a whole bunch of key subjects. I sent them documents. They'd already done their own research. There are a whole bunch of articles that are on the front page of prisonplanet.com that while you're talking, George, I'm going to have my guys go to the featured news stories and put them over the screen while you're talking. These are all so important so your friends, your family, your neighbors, people around you know why this is happening and that it's predestined and pre-planned by these criminals. Bankers, economists, mass centralization at heart of euro bailout. Okay, that's government admitting that. Here's another one. Bankers destroy global economy by design to consolidate power. Another key article. Here's another one the guys wrote, all linked to direct statements. Ron Paul, Euro bailout will lead to currency collapse. Here's another one. Euro bailout fund is a desperate measure. Here's another one. Banksters throw $1 trillion down a black hole. This is all key. These articles have all the proof, all the statements. This is the intelligence that we need to get out to everyone. I'm begging the listeners, post this on Facebook, MySpace, your email list, everyone you know, and say this is what's really going on, and send them this list of articles. This is life and death information, because if we just lay here and take these attacks, they win. But if we take this attack like judo and use it against them, they have reached too far. They can fall just like Ceausescu or just like Hitler or just like, so many other thugs throughout history, Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay. Now, I just wanted to cover those articles, tell folks that it's all documented there for them at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. George Humphrey, take us out to break in the next 10 minutes. Break down the real economics of this. And again, I pointed this out last week. I remember, when did you put out your first audiobook off your first book, Common Sense?
1998.
1998, I remember driving to San Antonio, listening on CDs. It was like 8 hours long of your book with that great radio host you had read it. And I remember learning about derivatives, learning how they were going to implode it to bring in a world government, how it was going to work, how they would set up the SDRs. And that was 12 years ago. I remember driving to San Antonio to interview the police chief and driving back listening to it and learning so much. So I like to give credit where credit's due. You're not just saying this. You understood this. You were one of the first people to specifically lay it out. Now you're laying it out again. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate that. Anyway, information is power. There's no question about it. And at the same time, my job is to distill I have people I'm talking to from all over the country, all over the world, who are really, really smart people. And I'm taking this and I try and distill it and make it as simple as possible so that people can understand it. And the reality is that we are facing the largest economic tsunami in the history of modern history. And all you have to do is look at 7 basic facts. Number one is that the total debt in this country, federal, state, local, corporate, and personal debt, when you put those together, not including derivatives, is about 900% greater than the gross domestic product. And the percentages are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Just that alone assures that we cannot recover from this problem. Number two is that the derivative situation, and know anybody who says that they know how much there are in toxic derivatives, well, maybe they know more than I do, but I've been studying this stuff for about 12 years, and I don't know how much.
Tarpley says 1.5 quadrillion.
Yeah, and that's possible using the most conservative numbers, which is about $130 trillion of toxic derivatives, which is 1/10 of what Tarpley is saying. Is that just alone destroys the ship, sinks the Titanic? It's all over and done with. In Japan in 1989, which is one of the most productive nations in the whole world, they had something very similar to derivatives, and they went down much, much smaller in comparison. And even though Japan